over me. If my hair were full of tongues, it can never praise you enough. From the bottom of my heart today, I wanna say thank you.
Hello people, good morning, and it's the Wednesday edition of Random Thought with Maxine, where I invite you to share my world or my thoughts. Okay, so this morning I'm here and I'm thinking, what can we discuss on a Wednesday like this? It's midweek already. Hope the week has treated you nicely, or you day inside like that, or Charlie, you're just hoping that tomorrow and Friday will be better. Whatever it is, I keep saying this on the show that, see, all the experiences we have or we encounter on a daily basis are things that are supposed to build us up. Okay, there are some that break us to the point that we feel we cannot pick ourselves up again and continue with the journey. But you see, I was just talking to a friend yesterday and we just made reference to some things that happened in the past. It's like, Maxine, I learned from those experiences, and we learn on a daily basis. Hope you are learning something new. Hope your experiences are not just shattering you, but giving you the platform to bring out the lessons that those experiences always present you with. It's Random Thought with Maxine, and I'll be right back.
He can never praise you enough, but my tank of praise before you, Lord, will never be empty.
People, we've changed the tempo. We've moved from slow to I was telling Dominic that, Dominic is a song, so I said yes, this one is like worship. No, it's a Wednesday, people, Charlie. We have to feel the Wednesday vibe. So I've gone back to my Mere Dada, this one, and I like it. So I hope you're enjoying it too. I came across this proverb and I was like, all right, let me just share it. And it says that it's an African proverb, and it says that those who respect the elderly pave their own road towards success. Those who respect the elderly pave their own road towards success. So this is an African proverb. And then it took my mind back to today's topic. Today is story time. Somebody is listening like, you always give us story. Yes, I know. But this one is really from a very, very personal and deep. It's in my cupboard, and I decided to bring this one out because I know it will kind of like help advance this conversation. So I grew up all very respectful. When you live with your grandparents in the house and you live in a typical family house like I grew up in, see, you have no other choice than to imbibe all it means or all it takes to be respectful. So you have grandmother, grandfather, auntie, uncles, and all the extended family people. And so respect is something that was paramount. And I so detested it if somebody tells another person, "Yantituye." That thing, I have said it on the show, has a way of breaking, especially when you come from a house or a family that is all prim and proper about how you behave outside. So during my school days, specifically at St. Paul's RCJHS, is an RC, as a very good student, some of my friends will say, no, okay, we tried. And I mean, whatever it is, from class 1 to class 3, class 4, once your report card is out, you know that performance wise, very impressive. So till I got to class 4, Performance wise was good, was okay. Then you know how it is. When you're a child, you don't really understand what is written when it gets to the conduct of yourself as a student when it comes to your terminal report. So you don't understand it, the things that the teacher writes, the comments and all that. It was later on that we are getting to understand likes playing, too playful, must pay particular attention in class. You know those ones. At first somebody will just read, or you just take it home and your parents will read and give you feedback. So ordinarily, report card end of term came out. I had my card, did not understand what was written, but I remembered that once I took that card home, my parents were not so happy. Their face dropped, because guess what, it is not about the first, the second and the third. It's about my teacher's remark. What did my teacher write? My teacher was a woman then, and she wrote that my conduct for that term, because she was my teacher, was unsatisfactory. Just you know. And this is the first time, I mean, that's for a child to be in class 4 and see unsatisfactory in your report. I mean, no matter how shako you were, I'm not sure you can break that thing down. So for me, I was even oblivious. I didn't even understand it. Then my father just called me and said, this is not good. This is not good. Then you know typical mothers who would rant and rave. We teach us so more there. This is in a can. All my mother wanted to tell me is that my teacher says you do not respect, and that was not me. I don't even remember doing anything and saying that, oh, this is what I did that warranted that particular remark. I don't. So then I started crying, you know, and you know how it is. Once you do something small, no, they'll rub it in your face. Say, and your teacher says you do not respect. It is the same attitude you put up, and that was written. And for the rest of the term, preparing myself to come to school the next term, it was a second term report. So obviously I was going to meet that teacher again. So you know, your parents will put all their art together just to refine you during the vacation period, so that you go back a better person. See, that comment on my report card, specifically when I was in class 4, did me more harm than good. Somebody say, oh, what is the harm in this? The harm in this is that I had to live perpetually with the reminder that at stage 4, a teacher wrote in my report card that my conduct was unsatisfactory. See, being the typical Maxine, I decided to just do a search through my mind and find out exactly what I did. So I remembered we're given cumulative record books. I don't know if you know that thing, to take home for a parent to feel. But you know how it is like. You just have to write the first 2 details on the cover of the book yourself. So there is a name and there is a class. Then I wrote my name, Maxine Misode, Maxine. If there's nothing a child would even grasp at a very tender age, by class 1 or 2 you should know how to write your name properly. And for me, it wasn't something I struggled with, writing my name. I brought this book back. My parents had to fill their part, you know, the part that has your personal data and all that, which they did. I brought the book back. My teacher said the book had fell in water, and so I got beatings for that. It wasn't looking presentable. Was I scruffy? I don't know, but I received beatings for that. And the second comment was that at stage 4 or at class 4, I was unable to spell my name. See, you have a lot of things to grapple with when you're a twin and you live in the same class, or you happen to be in the same class with your twin. So my twin is Maxima. My madam, who had gone to training college then and know all the rules and regulations and ethics concerning teaching children, said that she did not understand why my sister's name ended with an MA and mine should end with an NE, and it should rather be an ME. Did I get you confused? My listeners. So this was the matter. Because my sister is Maxima, I should be Mazimi. ME instead of NE, and my name is NE, not an ME. So I challenged my teacher. I said, Madam, that is not how I spell my name. It's an NE. Then guess what? I received that beatings. And it's like, why are you challenging me? At this age, you don't know. And that is the part that even murdered me. At this age, you don't know how to spell your name. And I'm thinking, what the heck? I know how to spell my name. So I think she was kind of surprised that I could go back and forth with the whole issue of that is not my name. But you see, my listeners, it was not my name. Should I have kept quiet at that age and just taken, so that when I move to class 5, I can go back to my NE instead of what Madam says I should consider? Then when I came back home and this whole back and forth with my unsatisfactory conversation popped up, I told my parents that I honestly think this is what warranted the sin. Knowing my mother, she's like, no, we can't go to the school. If you do that, the teacher's eyes will be on you. They will mark your work. Living in that classroom with your teacher will be terrible. You enjoy school. So guess what? You apologize. So I had to apologize for standing up and saying that is not how my name is spelled. Welcome to Ghana, where child is always wrong and adult is right. I remember that the whole period of staying at home for the vacation gave me nothing than to memorize these words and go back to school the next term with, since I remember so well, I think it was Imperial Leather soap. For all those who know Imperial Leather, Life Little Luxury, it was one of the nice soaps there. It's still a nice soap anyway. So I was given like 2 packs of Imperial Leather, and I was made to memorize, please, Madam, my parents says I should apologize for my unsatisfactory behavior. Thank you. So with the soap neatly wrapped, school reopens. I get to school. The first thing I do was to wait patiently for Madam to pop up, and then I can render apology, because I have challenged my Madam that my name is not Mazime and it's a NE. So I went, and as I said, brothers and sisters, I have been rehearsing this thing from the whole of the vacation. You see, I still remember those words. So when I went, my hands behind me, my eyes looking all sorrowful and must look remorseful. Okay, you can't say these words and have no, you can't come with, your mouth cannot say something different and your face speaks something different. So this I was here, school neatly dressed, and I went. I said, good morning, Madam. Say, yes, good morning. Say, please, Madam, my parents says I should apologize for my unsatisfactory behavior. Thank you. Then so it's nothing. Then bar of soap or cake of soap to Madam, and then Madam took it. End of story. And that was the last time I ever had anything like unsatisfactory conduct. So anytime I get the opportunity to go through all my terminal reports, I have them, interestingly, from class 1 to JHS. I have all my secondary school reports. I do. Thankfully, when you go to university, it's transcripts. So I have all of them. And sometimes I just was like, can I just observe the terrain? And never in my entire educational life have I gotten such a remark. But guess what? One, that remark had a way of breaking me down. I wasn't as vocal as I used to be. At this point, I dare not challenge, because you see, you have a track record that you challenge somebody, and this is what you got at the end of the day. Can you just keep quiet? Can you just be more respectful? Can you not open your mouth and give opinions on matters? Even when it's a lie, can you just swallow that in and pretend that it never happened? I'm asking myself this question: was my teacher right then to give me a name that was not my name? No. Was I wrong as a child to have alerted my teacher that, Madam, that is not my name? Are the people we consider elderly, those who are far advanced in age, always right? That's the third question. And the fourth question is, like, in recent time, I have a lot of hard time dealing with the elderly, especially on matters and on opinions. And I still will remember that incident. I'm like, Madam, tread cautiously before you get another name again, that Umuade. Please, you are listening right now. I don't know if you've ever had any scuffle or some back and forth with an elderly person, and you know that this man is an outright he's wrong. But you see, just because of the gray hair, just because the person will say, do you know when I was born? Just because the person will give you a litany of all experiences he or she has gathered over the years, are they always right? Now I sit back and I said, probably I was just opinionated as a young girl. And I look at children nowadays and they'll tell you, no way, I won't drink calipo, I don't like. And they will tell you in the face, and I'm like, these children should have been in my class that years, those years. I'm sure that the comments they will get. And I look at children nowadays who are very open and verbal and have opinions about everything, and I'm thinking, did we miss something growing up during my era? And what has changed? Today we are talking how I challenged my teacher and the results I got from challenging. See, I didn't even see that as challenging. It's just like telling a child that your socks is blue when that child knows that this is a red socks. And you say blue, he says red. You say blue, he says red. Because that one has been taught that this is how blue looks like and this is how red looks like. I naively thought that growing up, every elderly person is always right. Because you see, per cultural setup, you don't talk back when the elderly talk. You don't argue with somebody who is older than you. And you hear things like, I can give birth to you 4 times. You are even my triba. You know, people make references like this. My backbone is even older than you. Do you know how old I was when you get to hear these things constantly? Is it like we are conforming to the system where the adult is always right? And even when we, the young people, know that the adult is wrong, do we even have what it takes to put that across? Please, this world is becoming some way. We have lived with that fact that, Peny is always right, the elderly is always right. Please don't just go back and forth. And sometimes people would even use scripture and say things like, you dare not argue with an elderly person because you have a way of shortening your days on earth. Forgive my French this morning. I don't know if you have met an elderly person who is that silly. Like, you can't understand that at his age or at her age they should not be doing what they are doing. But who dare you, Obikasa, who born dog, to go and say that, this man at your age, this thing you are doing, crazy, okay? Haven't you come across an elderly person who is urinating somewhere that is boldly written, do not urinate here? And you cannot, I dare you, you cannot tell that person that what you are doing is good. But you see, reverse, they can tell you that, schoolboy, tuck in well, don't urinate there. And I'm thinking that, okay, so now it's understandable. You can be elderly and you can be silly and you can go scot-free, right? Age is still considered a sign of experience and wisdom. But you see, it will catch you and you get the shocker when you realize that somebody is a certain age and they are not even acting their age. So last time I was having a conversation with my sister and I said this. We forget that it's the young silly boy or girl who grows up to be the silly elderly man. We forget that is the young, silly, disrespectful guy or woman who grows up to be the silly grandfather or grandmother. We forget that it is just a transition. So the whole age and gray hair, which connote wisdom. Sometimes I beg, the gray hair is plenty, but Charlie, you cannot say that this man is spewing wisdom. All you can say is that, is he all right? I'm elderly, so I'm always right. But I guess I think through this and I'm like, let's take this whole elderly tag. Are human beings always right? No. Please, if you're always right, then I don't know, probably you belong to a different planet. So why do we say that once you are elderly, you are always right? See, we have all made mistakes. We will make mistakes for the future. The best we can do is to be very cautious of how we tread. It is okay to accord respect to an elderly person. Don't get it twisted. I am solely and fully of the opinion that the elderly must be respected. And sometimes I think we young people are a bit impatient with them. And we are not tolerant. Because see what? It gets to us, their behavior. And there are young people who will stand up and talk to elderly people in a tone that is so harsh that you think, no way, you are not supposed to be doing this. So for us young people, there are times that we are not patient, we are not tolerant, and sometimes we think we know everything. And so an opinion from an elderly person must go down the drain. But sometimes we deal with elderly people and we know that they are completely wrong and we can't tell them. My question this morning is how are you able, for if you are even listening, sometimes it's not like we only have challenges dealing with our peers. We have challenges dealing with that tough uncle who is saying the thing, this villa this man is giving you is a cake. But you understand that the thing that he learned some years back, how do you put across your opinions and at the same time do not sound disrespectful? How? So 2 days ago, this elderly man came to my shop to buy and he says he wants to marry me. In my head, I was thinking like, who says I want to marry an old man? Forgive. And I was also thinking like, why would he come to me and say he wanted to marry me? You don't know me. You don't even know if I've started counseling. You don't even know if I have a boyfriend. Or it's written all over my face that I'm looking for a husband. And see, within the next 5 minutes, I was just boiling. And I'm like, the thing was just telling me, that thing that tells you that just give him your peace of mind. I was just going to say, man, please don't bring yourself, that kind of thing. I was just going to descend. My conscience was going to descend on a Tuesday morning when it was a Monday. And I was like, how do I respect you? You come, I say, say, what are you buying? I'm all nice. And in your head, I'm being respectful. I want to bring marriage proposal on my table. Who taught you that? So I was like, in my head for the next 10 minutes, I was just grappling with how to tell this man that get off my case and do not sound, because you see, if you are not too careful, you go and stand somewhere and go and twist the matter in a certain form that would be against you. That he came and you insulted him. Meanwhile, he won't even narrate his version of the story. So I'm thinking, when even elderly men, the man is telling you, like, he has said this one, you say you don't like it. 2, I have somebody. When I say I have somebody, you be there and be lying. If you don't have somebody, you say you have somebody. I say, hey, is it a force? I say I have somebody. I'm not feeling old. Then I asked, I said, please, may I know you? He said 50. I said, no, you are even 2 decades and some 5 years. He said, what is so? I said, boss, the era you were born in my era is not same era. We can't vibe, yeah? We're not vibing. And he was just looking at me and said, I said, okay. I said, sir, can you please respect my decision? Then I had to change my voice so that the man will know that I am serious. Because if I had used the other tone, which will be out of anger, probably the story will have been different. Age blesses people with white hair. I can understand. Which connotes wisdom. But see, sometimes you see some of the gray hair, and it's just gray hair. Wisdom is not attached. Forgive my French this morning. There are moments that elderly people have been silly with us. Sometimes you hear some of the comments elderly men pass about young girls, and you are thinking, this is such a bad old man. And in my head I'm thinking, no, he was bad when he was young. And that's just a transition. Akraboni to Penyiboni to Akokraboni. That has been it. And that is it. And we forget that, you see, it's just moving from a stage onto the other. The gray hair do not change your mindset. It does not change how you think. It does not change how you write. But it showed. Ordinarily it showed. You are listening right now and you are dealing with one elderly person and it's extremely tough. How are you dealing with it? Can be your mom, can be your dad, can be somebody in your office, somebody you work with, somebody you're in your space constantly. They are inconveniencing you, can't tell them. They are making suggestions which will not yield nothing. You can't tell them. You are telling them you are afraid. The moment it's like you're going to give an opinion that is opposite what they ideally would want to hear, you are in trouble. And the next thing you hear is, now the children do not respect. Who are you to talk to me like this? Should we just leave them to be their elderly people? Is it okay to question the action of an elderly person? Because it's like you cannot question. You dare not question. You dare not. But I'm asking, you're listening right now, you probably have questioned. And what was the result thereof? Are they always right? That is my point. See, apart from dealing with everyday issues as young people and everyday people, this is part of the conversations that we hardly talk about. Sometimes it's even our parents. It's even our parents. There are times that I have gone back and forth with my mom. My mom said, okay, so school, no, you know. And you think that, just like you know how to organize events, and you are in charge of some party or funeral in the house, and you know that, Charlie, you have to bring the book knowledge on board in this planning. So just when you do estimate, okay, how many guests are we expecting? Then you ask everybody, how many people are you bringing this one today? By the time you realize they have added 200 to it. And you're like, okay, these people were not originally part of our guest list. So how did they get here? Then your mother was like, are you questioning my intelligence? Are you questioning this? Are you questioning that? How have you been able to deal with such issues when they pop up? I was unable to deal with my teacher then because there was no way I could. As I sit here right now, fast forward, when I give birth and my child comes back from school with a report that the teacher says A, B, and C, you know what posture I will take? Exactly what my parents did. You dare not challenge your teacher. My mom will say that, I know people who follow their children to school to challenge their teacher. Teachers did not mark their books again. You cry and fan and all that. And I'm thinking, that is how I have been taught to do. So I will do same. So when my child comes with a complaint, I'm just like, no, don't worry. You leave Auntie so and so class very soon, okay? Then that will be it. Because I don't see myself following him or her to go and ask. Because that is how that is how, when the issue came up when I was a young, that was how it was dealt with. And sometimes we can understand. Your parents just want to protect you. They just want to protect you. But I know some mothers, and they'll come and cause action. The teacher now will know that, Charlie, you have family members who are against this. But for some too, it's dicey and it's tricky. So you do not know. In all things, one, for me, I think wisdom should guide you. Wisdom should guide you, because see, there's a possibility, and I won't mince words. There are elderly people who push you to the wall. They will push you till you break. And sometimes you wonder, why are they doing all this? What is the agenda? What is the motive? What is the rationale? And you cannot seem to find an answer. But all the same, you are in their space. And so you have to act tactfully. Tactfully. That's the word. Hey, yeah, tactfully. And so you wonder whether doing A is okay or doing B is okay. We would one accord them the respect, because it's not easy getting to their age. We will two be patient and tolerant. But there are times that you need to explode. But I don't know how you have exploded in the past. And once you explode with an elderly person, the young person is always the one at fault. I don't know if some young person has exploded in trotro before. All the passengers in the car will beat you with their mouths. Meanwhile, they are not privy to what really happened. And sometimes they are privy, but they will just take sides outrightly. Because you're a young person, you cannot, you dare not. Can we be careful in our dealings with the elderly? People have not been too careful, and at the end of the day, their own parents have said words that have gone against them. Some parents have spoken out of anger just because they thought their children were just challenging their authority and downplaying their intelligence. And so if you are not too careful, you are going to heap curses upon yourself when you are even right. Let the wisdom of God guide you in your dealing with elderly people. Sometimes people also at this stage, they are very difficult, dementia, menopause. You see, that's the part I don't even want to hear. Sometimes the person is and it is all under the guise of the person has been like this. If you had a difficult grandmother, there is no way that when you grow old, she will become relaxed. Expect that she will become more difficult. And so people will say things like, and I can understand, they say all these things just to cool temper, so that you don't take it to heart. So don't leave, just leave that to my menopause, and the mental don't, it's andropause, it's old age. When they say all those things, they kind of like lessen the rate at which you are angry. But I'm asking, for me, honestly, I do not know, and I do not understand why we always presume that once somebody is elderly, they are always right. We can all be wrong, because one, we are human beings. And I don't know any single human being who has said he's never gotten it wrong before. We sometimes think we will get it right and we get it wrong. But you see, it takes humility. It takes accepting the fact that you can always not get it right. It takes the fact that in as much as you would want to, sometimes you are having an argument with somebody who say, wait, dear, why? Like it's not going well for you. But you see, there's a part of you, the ego bit will tell you that, Charlie, keep fighting. Because when this guy comes to a point where you keep quiet, they will know that it's a lost battle. So I would think that ego too plays a role. And so nobody wants to say at this age, akrakito in a chair say and so we'll just massage it like that and leave it like that. I don't know about challenging an elderly person. I don't remember whether I have challenged a person or not. But I know that the tone with which I will speak will let you know that I'm challenging you. And so we all, in our bid to make this life worth living, grapple with some of these things on a daily basis. Elderly men and women who provoke, who insult, who push us to the wall, who take credit for our work and do not even acknowledge that, oh Charlie, it is so and so who sorted me out. Or had it not been him, Charlie, I'll still be struggling. They are not even giving you recommendation when you need it. just because they cannot sit down for you to take their shine and glory? Maybe this man has been working on this particular sin for the past, God knows, 25 years. And you are thinking that, oh, with this whole years of experience, you should be able to sort this out. Then from nowhere, a guy who is just 2 years in the field comes to sort it out within the shortest possible time. How do you expect that person to take it? How did you expect King Saul to take the fact that David had killed Goliath? Charlie, it wasn't easy for the man. No, he wasn't. And so sometimes we read the stories and we feel like it's far-fetched. But you see, this is the man who was king, and he couldn't find it. He himself cried. And so from nowhere, as David, and there are a lot of things we do, and wisdom is not at play. So when you see somebody acting like that, so you see, we can understand why Saul will plot and do all the things he can do within his power as a king to get David out of his space. The women will not stop worrying Saul with the songs. They will not stop worrying Saul with the accolades for David. And so we can understand, even when you are not recognized for your work, know that wisdom must always be at play. I'll be right back. This morning I'm telling you a story about my class 4 experience where I had to apologize. On top, I brought Stamina 2 to add to the apology so that it boosts up my apology level. And this morning we are talking that, is it because we find them with gray hair and they have experience, so once they are like that, actually respect must be given? Somebody's thinking, no, respect has to be earned. And there are some elderly people who do not respect themselves, so invariably, why should I respect you? And there are people too who think that, oh, respect is like love. What you give is what you get, right? And so if you respect me, I respect you. But see, whether we like it or not, these principles do not always work for us. Whether it has to be earned by the person who calls himself elderly, it has to be earned by the person who says, okay, I have been on this earth more than you have been, and so automatically you're supposed to respect me. But we just went through the first proverb that says that those who respect the elderly pave their own road towards success. It's an African proverb. Are you respecting the elderly, or you have closed your mind that you have respected? And sometimes too, those of us who think we are overly respectful are the ones who are not treated nicely. Sorry, there are those who say, oh please, oh sir, but you see, those ones who come like the crack ones, they know that Charlie, if they don't do the right thing, these people, they will get it from these young people. And so most often than not, it hurts that the respectful child, the child who is willing to be tolerant, to be patient, to understand that, oh, this is my grandpa, can I be more circumspect in my dealings with him? Can I be more respectful? Is the one who gets to be trashed, for lack of a better word. We are talking, is the elderly, or are the elderly always right? Was my teacher right? Was I wrong in challenging her that is not how my name was spelled? See, if that terminal report card was relevant today, I'm sure I won't get a job. Was send me record. And I'm sure there are elderly people who have spoiled people's record just by a statement, just by, you know how it is school, those time testimonials. I don't know if they do that thing again. Wait till, so there are people who are just feigning that they respect. Once they are out of the school, you see their true colors. Because at the end of the day, there's sometimes it's just like your neck is on the line. Just go through the motion, boko, like that. Get what you want and then move. But don't you think that one too is coming? And so there are some of us who pretend to be respectful just because of the favors that await us, or the things that we are anticipating to get in the future. Once we get the thing, no, then we our real characters pop up, like the raw we pop up correctly. And I'm thinking that, are we scamming the older folks just because there are times that we think we just have to scam them to get what we want? And I'm thinking, is there some problem you are dealing with, or is there a relation you are dealing with, an uncle that you don't want to sound disrespectful, but Charlie, this man will not hear stop, and so for you are thinking like you just want to give him a piece of your mind. So I shared this one with you. A friend was telling me how she had to grapple with her family members when the father died. And you know that saying, right? Everybody can call you at any time, point out anything to you, speak their mind, and in the process she will just tell me, said, you know, I'm the first girl, and so you just take in all the things you have to take in, hoping that the funeral ends and they go back to where they belong. Then later on she was like, no, you know, there are times you know how funeral is in this part of our world. First meeting, we have decided on A, B, and C. Second meeting, this person says I was not around, so why did we decide on A, B, and C? Can we do it D, C, and F? And so they were just going back and forth. It was frustrating for the young girl, and she said something that stood with me, and I kind of like would, in a way that is not solicited, give advice to people when they are bereaved. He says, but sometimes you know you can just not take it. So she said, it's a Maxine, there are times you just want them to reason with you and let them know that, oh Charlie, this way is not the best way, can we use option B? But they are thinking they should use option A, and you know that option A is going to end in disaster. But what do you do? And she said once, she said, before the meeting I pray. Before every meeting I hold hands with my siblings and we pray. Because there are times you are not in control. Sometimes you feel you are in control, but you are not in control. And there are times that we want to be in control. We want to tell them as it is. We want to tell them that you said truth stands. A is A, B is B. White is white, not blue, black. And so we have to say, but see, in this part of our world, it's non-applicable. Sometimes the one who taught you that is red will later on push you to say that say it's blue. And sometimes you feel like you do not have a choice. Tell us how you are feeling. Tell us how you have managed an elderly person, whether silly, whether full of wisdom, whether a honeho, whether you don't even know where to put them. Tell us. And the many times we have been disappointed just because we thought, oh, this man should spew out wisdom, and rather they spew out jazz. Can we forgive? Can we forgive all those uncles and aunties and who you think who have been reporting us unnecessarily? My auntie will send videos and says, when you watch, you don't comment. And sometimes you look at the size and I'm thinking, does she think we don't have anything to do? And they will send you videos, that thing you won't watch. You don't like what they are sending you. He says, say thank you. It you don't like. And by the time you realize, no, they have reported you to your father. Now they are sending you videos and you are not liking. They will send you that good morning in the flower vase, like 20 times in a day. There are times you are not even by your phone. And they will conclude that they have sent you good morning and you have not responded. Then your father calls a meeting. Please, this is a real life scenario. Your father calls a meeting and says that when she says, say thank you. Why should I say thank you for something I'm not thankful for? Why should I respond to a video that I'm not enthused about? But they have sent you. You have to say thank you. If it's not funny, you have to do ha ha ha. If it's yeah blow, yeah blabber. If it's not funny, you have to do ha 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 ha. Or you have to do LOL, laughing out loud. You have to say something and do emojis saying thank you, that you have acknowledged receipts. Meanwhile, the thing you have not watched. Are we tired? Me, I'm tired, oh. Or it's early days yet to get tired. Or we will get tired even more when they get more older. Should we brace ourselves for the tax ahead? Dominic says yes. Should we brace ourselves? Because it won't get better, eh?
It wouldn't get any easier.
Yeah.
Yeah. Someone told me that if it was to be easy, everyone would be doing it. So
yeah.
If it was to be easy, okay, everyone would be handling their. Then there wouldn't be anything like menopause or whatever. Yeah. So
please, this is from Dominic. He says that Charlie is going to get tougher. It's going to get heated. I know people who have just walked out of their houses because they had heated arguments with their parents, and they said they won't come back again. When you know your father was like outrightly wrong, but see, this man says he's right. The man says he's right. So see, who are you to challenge his rightness? So this is we this morning talking. The elderly always right, and we can understand. Sometimes we know they are wrong, so we go home, we go to our rooms and laugh at them. But in their face, we let them know that they are right. But you see, they will just detest you if you just are plain blank about it, telling them that you are wrong. So we just have to manage. I don't know how you are managing it. I'm trying to manage it, but let us know if there's some practical steps you've put in place just to manage one tough old man like that. One tough young old man like, yeah, you know those ones too, they are young and old in between. That's they don't hear stop. You know, forever young. This is Eminem, forever young. Forever young. Oh. So you don't know when they are going to give up. And so I honestly think that wisdom should guide us. Somebody is listening and say, why won't wisdom guide them? Please, that one I can't answer. But once you know wisdom is not guiding the person per your standard of what wisdom is, can you let wisdom guide you rather, so that you don't end up doing things that you regret later? And you see, at this point, when they get old, I don't know if they're endowed with supernatural powers to cause your faith to come to a standstill or to what, but whatever it is, just be careful in managing those around you. But you see, at the end of the day, human beings can always not be right. We are human beings first before we become young people and old people. We are human beings first, and we are always not right. So when you get the drift that Charlie, this man is wrong, just find a nice way and massage it. Get your message across without sounding disrespectful. Be polite as you can. You can disagree with an elderly person even in the most polite form. They will see it as being disrespectful. Even when you decide to disagree in the politeness of all politeness. And for me, I don't think it's a healthy belief, but try to be polite as you can. When it's misconstrued as being disrespectful, at least you know you gave it your best shot. We'll be right back. This week, are you going to be polite, tolerant, or you are going to explode? Please, explosion is the one to why. Like, because if you don't take care, you'll be exploding unnecessarily, and it's going to drain you. So let's try as much as possible. It's okay to satisfy the part of our minds that says that all human beings cannot be right all the time, and that we understand that sometimes there are the older folks who think they're always right, which is always not true. But can we find a way of being tolerant? Can we find a way of being patient? Can we find a way of disagreeing with them in a form that is very polite without undermining their age, their years of experience and their gray hair. I am talking about my auntie sending videos, and I don't know. I've stopped saying thank you. I'm sure there's a new report that has gone to my father, but I'm trying. I said thank you for some few on some few occasions, and I stopped. I'm sure the new report will go to him again. But you see, I'm tired of pretending, so that's one too. I don't know. If you have answers for me, let me know. It's been Random Thought with Maxine, and this morning, thank you so much for your time. Okay, it's always a pleasure connecting with you, and take care of yourself and keep safe, and do the best you can, and try to hold on to your anger and be more tolerant and patient, and I'm sure we'll be good. We'll be good. Fine. Why? Yeah, blow, but we'll be fine. Why? So that's a piece of my thoughts this morning, and thank you so much for your company. I'm out.
For your blessings magnitude over me.